There's the YouTube recording, and there's the podcast. Ladles and Jelly Spoons, welcome to Truth, Love, and Peace. This is episode number 44, and that's Quentin Ayers.
Hey, man.
Welcome to it, man.
I made it.
Yay!
Seatbelts for safety.
Yes, we are driving today, so we are going to be seated and belted and not fly through any windshields. We're going to go for a little cruise. We're a little bit late getting started because I took forever to find my little plastic piece of membership card to get us into this beach thing. But so the last time we were together, we had a cacophony, a gaggle, a big group. Yeah, probably in the Big Jam Space Drivers. But that gets us to you play bass for
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably.
That's
yes.
not where we met though, but tell us how you became the bass player of Yeah, Probably. Give us, for those that don't know you. Catch us up on the backstory. How'd you meet those guys? How'd you meet Shay?
Well, I knew Shay in high school, and we were in jazz band together. He was a grade above me, so when he graduated, I kind of had no friends. All my friends were older than me, and really focused on my bass playing, and then ended up going to community college where Shay was at, and that's where we both met Philip. But Shay, I guess, already knew Philip for that year prior while I was still in high school, and we all kind of knew each other, played with each other, and we did gigs and stuff. We just never really had a proper band name or anything. It was just kind of like for fun with friends, and we all played in separate bands, and then basically like a year and a half ago, we decided, let's try to write some original music, and it kind of went so smoothly, like organically, just whenever we got together to focus on stuff that wasn't cover music. We just started wanting to do that, and so alright, let's do this full time, since we all kind of tried playing with other bands and didn't work out for any of us in our own separate ventures. We all have like our own lives though, like aside from this, but
it's so funny to hear you tell that story though, because that's exactly what y'all sound like, is a band that's just so good together. Why would you play with anybody else? Like, it's just that tight. So hearing the backstory,
it's definitely
makes
good,
that much sense
to play with people that are also better than us too. That helps us, and bringing other people that are like-minded and want to play good music for good music's sake. Like, even though we have some cover band gigs and stuff like that, but we've been picking up 30-minute, 45-minute, hour-long slots where we do mostly original music, like that Jizuko show that we did the podcast at.
Yeah,
we played at Vinyl last weekend.
How was that?
Awesome. Opening for John Hart.
Nice.
Yeah, the Grey Tones. Awesome band opened before us, so we were kind of sandwiched in the middle.
Well, and there was some stuff that we were listening to at, there were tons of things that we were bouncing back and forth while we were sitting around chit-chatting earlier at Shizuko's, and I got to hear some of the, I don't know if that's stuff you guys are working on or where that falls, but
yeah, we're working on it.
I remember some of the original stuff that you guys played that night, and it is killer, man. I can't wait. Do you guys have projections on when all that stuff's going to drop, or is this just still a work in progress?
Yeah, we definitely have goals.
Nice.
But yeah, we're kind of in a writing phase right now.
That's great, though,
and bringing in other musicians. We got Joe Pizzolato on guitar playing some gigs with us, and having a say in the creative process instead of just showing up and playing a gig. Like, he's interested in our sound and wants to work with it.
Yeah, and he is such a good compliment for what Shay does in the front. So, man, y'all are fucking awesome. I know I gush a little bit, but it's so fun listening to you guys play. Like, that was the first show that I'd been to in almost a year of being out and sitting in front of a stage and listening. And you guys tore it up, man. So much fun.
And we love doing those gigs, just as much as a packed out cover band gig, where there's just a few people like listening, and we're able to play our originals, and they like really take it in and appreciate it for what it is. Even if they're not fans, they're like, all right, these guys are cool, and we just want to play music. So that's our kind of vibe.
It shows.
Bunch of awkward guys on our own. And then we get up there.
That's not what you're supposed to follow It Shows with. It shows we're a couple of awkward guys. Oh, it's not true at all.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for the music, you know, music makes it. It's not just, you know, real life material things. It's just it's a lot all conceptual kind of. You know, if you were, you know, couldn't hear anything, you wouldn't know. Like, you wouldn't really know the difference of just guys standing up there just moving around a little, you know,
because of the nuance. Because I think that's great though.
The language of it all.
Yeah. That's the complexity of it is what I enjoy. Like, music today is so dumbed down, but watching you guys play, watching John play, you know, Big Jam Space Driver, John Hart, what I enjoy about it is it's the complexity of it, the ability to get in there and not be this cookie cutter, you know, all the cover stuff. That's great in a certain aspect, but I love hearing you guys push the limits and really, you know, like you said, communicate something more than something somebody else wrote forever ago. So that's great, man. I'm super stoked about that. But you didn't always play with Probably. What were some of the other groups that you played with before you solidified the Probably thing with Shay and Phil?
Another big thing of going to community college for me was getting to know Owen Finley.
Oh, fucking Owen!
He really kind of took me under his wing as far as like being a gigging bass player. Like he's just the ideal bass player, you know, like just totally reliable, shows up to the gig and he just digs in. And
yeah,
you know, looked up to this guy, but like we were in, you know, school together, and he would throw me gigs and stuff, you know, before I actually like had a band or like wanted to do this full time or anything like that. Like he would just throw me some stuff like, hey, I can't do this. Like he was gradually going up on his ladder, you know, and I was just kind of like, you know, picking up whatever he fell off, whatever he dropped off as he was going up. But
those are some tasty scraps, though, man.
Yeah, no.
When you're getting to Phil Owen Finley's shoes,
definitely learned a lot from that. And he's so humble, so like it kind of keeps me in check. Like I cannot be an asshole in this. If I want to, like, you know,
I need more people like Owen in my life.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Keep me from flying off the handle.
Shout out to the Finn man.
Love you, Owen. Hope you're doing good. Oh man, so who else? Owen, and then somebody that came up that was Mose.
Yeah, pretty much that was through Owen. Like,
yeah,
you know. So Hotel Oscar. I played with Mario Minna for a good year and a half. Like my last year of college. And
is that when I knew you? That's when we met, huh?
Maybe
2014.
Well, yeah.
Ish.
So I got a lot of my like endurance from that, of just like playing 4 nights a week and just playing country bass lines with a good drummer, Miko De La Cruz.
Miko!
He no longer lives here, but we all miss him.
Sorry to hear that. He's a sick drummer, though. He's a good dude. He's always quiet, but he was always there, man.
Yeah.
Always got it right. Man, it's such a strong music community down here. That's such a wonderful thing. Now, you were talking about you all went to school together. That's obviously down here. Is that the same place that Rebecca Berry teaches?
Yeah. It's formerly known as Faulkner. I guess it's Coastal Alabama now.
Okay.
Community school.
But they've got a pretty good music program. I think Justin Phobes was affiliated with that program.
Yeah, there's a lot of people, you know, that, you know, went in there and came out.
Hell yeah. Small world.
A bunch of Mobile people, yeah.
I've been hanging out more in Mobile recently. Do you...
yeah, I see that, man.
You guys play over there a good bit, huh?
Those comedy shows.
A good time with it. I don't know how much of a comedy fan you are. I know how hard you work, though. So getting to a show may not be easy. I mean, Saturday night, you're usually busy.
Oh, yeah, I mean, there's a couple that I've seen, I was like, oh, man, if I would have known, you know, like, before it was over, I would have probably made it out, but,
and we got some coming up.
Anything on, like, a weekday is usually the best thing, or a Sunday, or what, you know.
Hell yeah. Well, if you're interested, I just got my new website up, ComptonSmith.com. We keep it all on there. So all the future dates are there. We do the third Saturdays of the month over at Flying Harpoon 2, and we've got some more dates coming. I'll definitely keep you in the loop. I'll make sure you're on the invite list. My invite list is weird. I'm trying to figure out whether or not to just delete my Facebook account. I don't know how you feel about social media these days, but it's
I keep it for the band mainly. I keep it to like keep contact with musicians and family.
The algorithms and stuff, like trying to market through it, it's gotten to be such a pain in the butt.
I'm broke though. Stuff doesn't affect me.
I feel you. Well, I've gone back to just social media marketing altogether. It's there, but I've seen better results just going out and handing out flyers and shaking hands, man.
Oh yeah, word of mouth is definitely the easiest thing to utilize without trying to stay on top of some kind of analytics.
Yeah, because that stuff's crazy. Crazy. I was hoping we'd get to see some more sunlight this evening with the sunset, but
might get a little dark.
It's quite alright. I love coming down here and cruising the beach though, because it's usually nice and quiet. Case in point,
never been down here. Dune City
State Park. I quit coming down here as much when they you can't fly a drone down here, so
that means they got some kind of underground base.
Probably
some kind of stealth operation.
We're so close to the Naval Air Station. It's hard to get away with anything out here. They used to do outdoor camping, like you could walk down and build a fire on the beach and all that good stuff. You can't do that anymore, which is ridiculous, because that was so much fun. Camping on the beach, the only place you could really camp on the beach. But it's pretty nice. So you went to school to play bass, or you were just in school?
I mean, I went to school for music, but I did not pass any classes. Really? I dropped out at the last minute. I didn't really go to class because I was starting to play gigs.
That was me the first time around. It took me until I was 26 to get my first degree, so I'm right there with you. I think I might have you beat, though. I think I dropped out at 3 different schools before I started getting paid, so don't feel bad.
Yeah, no, I know school's not for me unless, like, I absolutely need it. And I was on a scholarship, like a music scholarship, so I wasn't really paying anything.
Yeah.
So it wasn't nothing to just drop out. I know if I like paid for the class, I would do a class, you know, out of pocket. I feel like that's how I would have to go to school.
Yeah.
I knew I was just, yeah. If I was putting myself through school, pretty much.
I'm not sure what the benefits of school are these days. I mean, for certain professions, sure, go to school, but by and large...
Shay's calling me.
Uh-oh, are we supposed to be somewhere?
No.
Oh, okay. Put him on speakerphone. What up, Shay?
Oh, hey. Hey, dude.
Shay!
Hey, where you at?
I'm with Compton on the podcast.
You're live on Facebook via phone.
Oh, what up?
Yeah,
This
dude.
is you are slowly inching your way to actually being on the podcast, Shay. You were in the room next door. Last time you were in the room next door. This time you're on the phone. Just one day we'll sit in the same place together.
Dude, it's gonna happen. I promise you. I have it on my calendar. I won't miss it. I won't miss it. I promise.
Yeah, I saw you pass us whenever we left Floribama.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I got you. Very nice.
So,
Well, I'll let you guys get back to it.
yeah, dude. Thanks for interrupting.
Yeah, man. Once again.
Love you, Shay.
All right.
Alright, love y'all.
Later. For those of you listening, or for those of you who don't know, Shay White is you mentioned him earlier. He's the frontman, the lead guitar player for, yeah, probably.
The singer.
The singer. Hey, oh, yeah. And so, musically, what do you think about all this situation that we're in? I mean, what does the music landscape look like
I'm still
over
learning.
the course of your life, man?
I'm still learning, dude. I don't have nothing figured out as far as I'm concerned.
Well, what was the last good lesson you got a hold of?
Shoot.
Too vague? Here's
No,
another.
it's too specific. Let me see. Or my answer would have not been the right answer to say. But let's see. I don't know.
Well, what did you listen to growing up? I guess let's start there. Like, did you grow up with the radio, or
I listened to like whatever my dad was putting on, like Chili Peppers and just rock and nothing really. I don't really remember music being that big of an impact in my life. Like grandparents putting Leonard Skinner records on, like remembering the lyrics from that, and then like my stepmom introduced me to funk, Earth, Wind and Fire when I was like 12. I was like, oh, this is cool, but I wasn't really musical until I had like guitar lesson. I took a guitar lesson. I was like hooked.
Nice.
And then in high school, my stepmom was a teacher, and she kind of like got me into the jazz program, even though I had like no knowledge of any music theory or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And like I guess I progressed enough so they wouldn't kick me out.
Mm-hmm.
So I got pretty lucky in like being able to kind of just pick it up fast.
Nice.
And then switched to bass my junior year. Well, I started jazz band my sophomore year, and I went to bass my junior year from starting on guitar. And just like practiced every day. Like that was all I did when I went to high school. I was like flunking out of math and flunking out of everything else and just doing music. And then I tried out for All-State Jazz my senior year and got in.
Fuck yeah.
So I was able to like go on this like trip and play like big band jazz charts and stuff with best kids from Alabama, like all around the state. And it was like really eye-opening because I was definitely like the weakest like sight reader musician, I guess.
Mm-hmm. That's how you get better quick, though, man.
I know, like I don't know. I've definitely had the imposter syndrome throughout my whole musician career, I guess, of like just playing with people and thinking like, man, this is nuts. Like they're so good. Like they're so naturally just good at it on a deeper level than I feel like I am sometimes. You know?
Yeah. It's funny you say that. I felt the same way when I was anytime I played too. That's crazy. But I'll testify for anybody that doesn't believe it. You totally deserve to be where you are, and I love listening to you play. It's always tight.
No, yeah, getting the recognition from people I respect is like the biggest motivator, or biggest kind of just, all right, I'm doing what I need to do kind of thing. I'm doing what I should be doing.
Oh yeah, don't become a mathematician. Keep playing bass, please.
I don't think I could if I tried at this point. Yeah.
No need. No, it's good to see you guys crushing it as hard as you are. Probably, because just the climate of being able to make it as an artist these days is so... I don't know if it's easier. I don't know if it's harder. In some ways, I think it might be easier because the internet helps you get it out there.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of distractions, though.
Yeah?
Just in people's personal lives, and then also people who take in content, I guess, you know. Stuff going through people's eyeballs. Very brief moments, just all day.
It is constant, though, the bombardment of information. I run into that a little bit with the podcast on like how to make this stand out to people, and then I step back and go, screw it, just to have a good conversation and people will figure it out. Because it feels to me like yelling into a vacuum. Like trying to market online is just like yelling into a dark, empty room.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense to me. But, was that a helicopter? He's hauling ass. Oh, the things you see at the beach.
Yeah. Just trying to focus on the music and not go broke.
Yeah.
And it just kind of works out.
I would love to get to that point where I could just focus on the comedy. How long's it taken you to get to that point? I mean, we first met like 14. If we wanted to do the math, it's been 5 years? 4 years?
I mean, it's gotten better every year that I've play music.
Yeah.
As far as like financially, but definitely playing in like a band that I have say in is even better than just trying to freelance all the time. Like I'm working half as less and making the same amount if I was working twice as more playing freelance gigs.
That's great.
So people don't call me because they know I have a band. Like they call me sometimes to be like, hey, do you know a bass player that's available? Because they just assume I'm not even available. You know what I mean?
That's a pretty nice spot to be in, though.
But yeah, as far as doing that, there's like the community of bass players that have each other's backs, because this bass player will double book himself and need to call this other guy who's off or this other girl who's off, to come fill it in, and they know that they're competent enough to just kind of show up and get through it, at least.
So basically, y'all have a bassists union.
Yeah, but it's only like
that's great.
That's why it's like hard to find, I guess, a bassist, because if you already know the group of bassists that are all kind of like competent within one another, you don't find a lot like outside of that you could just call like last minute to come do it.
Makes sense.
I don't know. Definitely learning still, trying to stay where I'm learning, but yeah, I'm definitely comfortable with probably to a degree, of course, But,
well, it shows. I mean, you guys, like I said, you guys are tight. It's awesome. I just want this guy to pass me. I don't like having headlights behind me.
But I still try to, write music that isn't a part of probably, and listen to music that's totally out of our genre, and follow kind of like what I'm inspired by, even though like it might be a part of.
Well, what are you inspired by?
Just like new jazz, kind of, not like in any kind of genre of the sense of the word, but improv being present in just good music.
So like the jazz fusion stuff. That's
but not like how it was kind of in the 80s or whatever. Like the new stuff that's coming out, the cutting edge of just these guys that have been playing, for 10, 20 years and just masters at their instruments that are doing new things.
Yeah.
And that shit blows me away. So and getting to like meet these people, like it's just humbling. Like whenever they're super humble people and nice people, I'm like, oh man, I wish I'm this like.
Who comes to mind?
I wish I listened to just some guy who thinks I'm like the shit down the line, and I'm not just like, yeah, fuck off. Like,
So who have you run into recently?
Shoot.
Or who jumps out at you?
Not so much recently, but Kevin Scott, he plays bass. He from Atlanta, and he plays bass like all over the place, man. He's just kind of the on-call guy in that like top tier bass players that just know their shit. And he comes through Mobile, and he like brings his nonsense, and he's just a crazy awesome guitar player too, as well as a bass player. But I've kind of looked up to him because he's just kind of been around this area, like through this area, and seen how he kind of is just a working bass player too, but like he's just got so much time and experience, and how he sees his perception, like I'm really like intrigued by it, and he usually just like knows the right thing to say every time I talk to him, so it's really awesome to like have that, even though I don't talk to him frequently. When I do see him, it's like, yeah man, how's it going, like last time I saw him was yesterday, but it's actually like 6 months or something. But really cool. I was trying not to just name drop the whole time.
That's okay.
People like to do that. And,
it's not necessary. Sometimes it's necessary for the context, but not always. Odds are they're never going to see this, so it's okay.
Oh, right. Yeah, I mean, no, I don't want to say
all
that.
4 people that hang out and watch my podcast.
Hey man, I shared it.
Dude, That's fucking awesome. Thank you. Yeah, they're hang on, I'll press this button before I get into this. There are definitely people out there that listen, which amazes me. So thank you for everybody that listens to the podcast. Every once in a while, the best stories when it gets back to me and somebody's like, oh, you know, we were listening to this episode and so-and-so got hooked up with so-and-so and things happened because of the podcast. Like, that's a good feeling. That's a very good feeling. It's my little touch of getting to be on stage, I guess.
Oh, that's cool, man. I'm honored to be a part of this.
Dude, thank you for doing it. I'm glad to have you. All these people hanging out behind us. We'll let them pass us.
Getting grumpy.
Yeah, they've been at the beach all day long. Go get you some dinner. Don't wait on us. Do whatever you do. Man, music. I've been looking for some new music that I haven't heard of. Is there anybody that's kind of left field that you've been listening to a lot that you would want to recommend to anybody?
I listen to more like old music than newer music, I guess, in that as far as like, I don't know, albums and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I guess newer stuff, like I'm a huge Daniel Caesar fan.
Don't know Daniel
Bad Not Good. They're like a backing studio band that does a bunch of like hip hop records and soul records and stuff, but like live instruments. Yeah, Daniel Caesar kind of has that like pop sound that I think Shay has.
Gotcha.
So a lot of his style of vocal, he's a vocal guy. Been listening to a lot of PJ Morton. He's the keyboard player for Maroon 5, and he has like his own solo project. It's
Nice.
really cool soul music.
PJ Morton.
Shoot, I mean,
Those are some good ones to look into.
Hiatus Coyote is like a soul band from Australia.
Hiatus Coyote.
Yeah, they're kind of like Australian Erykah Badu sounding. If you know Erykah Badu.
Yeah. I do.
I don't know, a lot of soul, a lot of funk, just like a lot of stuff people will just send me and tell me to listen to it. I listen to it. I'm like, yes, this is good.
I never thought about that. You guys must get inundated with, hey, listen to this. Hey, check this out.
Mm-hmm.
I forget about that all the time. Like somebody used to tell me, Kurt told me that they used to have this late night thing where they would, listen to tracks off people's albums. But is that something that you guys have to deal with a good bit? Is when people handing you stuff?
Well,
is it become cumbersome?
Trying to get people to listen to the songs. It's like, really listen to this, man. Like, we're gonna learn the song, or like something like that, or I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely a struggle. It's like everybody needs to be kind of listening to the same stuff if we're gonna be writing this one kind of sound. I don't know. We need to listen to stuff that sounds like what we're trying to do already. There's a lot of examples of like stuff right up our wheelhouse.
That's interesting. I was thinking about this from a comedy standpoint, and the things that we listen to, and not wanting to accidentally steal somebody's material.
But you want to like take their flow, or like their there's way more you can take from somebody without actually like saying the words they're saying.
Right.
It's like the notes don't really matter. It's like how you're playing it. Like,
Yeah. That's fun to get in there and figure out. How do you take the same emotion and say it? Or how do you convey that in your own words or your own notes?
Yeah.
I guess that's true for all art. Then you're just talking the language of communication and expression, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's definitely what I feel like I'm working on, and also trying to like bring my fellow bandmates or along the ride with me of learning new things and learning new perspectives, and like everyone in the band has different perspectives and different levels of ability in their own instrument, in their own kind of sound, and trying to get everyone where like everyone understands each other more. And it really takes like I really don't know what it takes, because it's so much deeper to like the core of a person, like all of their like, what makes them them, you know, aside from like the good parts. You have to be like, all right, how do I deal with this person
as a person?
Yeah.
And not just in the middle of some music.
Yeah, because, you know, it turns into work, and it turns into not, people don't want to, they'll put in just the minimal amount of effort they got to put into it to get it done, even though they're like highly talented, you know. It's still not like as good as I think it could be as a whole and like individually.
Yeah, that's never a good feeling when you feel like somebody's not pulling their weight or contributing or taking something seriously. Or just goal-oriented. There are all kinds of things when you start dealing with other people.
Oh, yeah.
Make life tricky, man. Like Jean-Paul Sartre said, John, listen to me, I'm a fucking Southerner. Jean-Paul Sartre. So hell is other people.
Even, you know, coming to this podcast, it's like, man, all I have right now is like, probably a bass player. Like, what am I doing? You know what I mean? Like, I need to have more of a personal identity, I guess. And I've kind of put that off to the side because I'm not a big social media guy. You know, like, I don't have like an avatar or whatever. I mean, I guess I'm kind of living that avatar through, probably, because I'm not. I don't know. I feel like I could be doing something else, like how everyone else has their own things going on the side, things that they're, you know.
You definitely could if you wanted to. But at the same time, in the pursuit of self and the pursuit of identity, just because anybody can have a podcast, man. It's not that big of a deal. But I get what you mean on like the journey to find yourself and how do you represent who you are. I would say that your identity, in my mind, is pretty solidified. I mean, and it's not just the bass player for probably. That's what I know you as now, but you had to be a badass bass player to get to that point. So I know you as, I don't know, for me the probably thing's kind of transitional, I guess, because I knew you before that.
Yeah.
It's a cool credit, but it's just one.
Yeah, no, nothing, you know, I love playing with this band.
It's understandable. It's a fucking great band.
It's great.
Y'all are awesome.
But yeah, I think it's just the never-ending bass player struggle. I mean, if you're not Les Claypool or, you know, Sting or some shit, like, you're not fronting a band. If you're not, you know, Grateful Dead, bass players that front bands, Beatles and shit, you know. It's rare.
Well, is that what you want to do?
Heck no, I don't sing. I'm not a lyric guy, word guy, by any means.
Oh, well then.
That's why, like you're telling me to just tell you about music I listen to, man. I don't read half the words of the things I listen to.
Good.
Mainly because I don't really talk with people about, like, every little thing I listen to. It's usually stuff that's like, this sounds like something that someone would like. Listen to this, or this sounds like something that I know you've never heard anything like this, you gotta listen to this. And I kind of take that in the other way too, so I listen to more stuff than I'm like, oh, what is that? And then I'll be like, okay, yeah, like someone will tell me, and then that's it.
Just one and done instead
just
of
kind of to see if I already know what it is, and if it's like, I don't have no idea what this is. Yeah, there's so much music.
There is so much music out there, and I wonder what that means for the landscape of just future consumption. I mean, on some level, we're going to get so big that it's going to become local again, that it has to get small. So where those little pockets end up? On the internet somewhere, or do you end up in pockets with people that you know hanging out?
And there's just so much music, like, from before, like, the internet explosion, like, that, you know, got a lot of plays in their day, like, got, you know, record sales and stuff, but now they're getting, like, these old songs are getting just millions of streams. You know what I mean? So, like, these people are just raking in the money, like, decades after. So I feel like it's gonna be a lot of like rediscovery of what we already did, but like kind of like a mimic of the old stuff.
It's funny you say a rediscovery of the stuff that we did, because that's one of the things that somebody asked. They're like, "Man, nobody watched podcasts." I'm like, that's not the point. Like, the point is, I enjoy doing it. Like, I enjoy having these conversations, and maybe, like you were saying, maybe someday it'll be rediscovered, and somebody will enjoy going back and listening to it.
Oh yeah.
So, maybe in a way, that's what's going on with the internet, is that it's the thing that's destroying time and tearing apart this construct that we made up that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Time, it's handy to keep track of shit if you're gonna make people pay for stuff, but it's too businessy. So maybe that's what it is. YouTube and all this stuff allows you to put stuff outside of time, and so when people go back and discover stuff, it's like reliving it all over again. But then what does that mean for us as artists? That's a whole new train of thought.
Yeah, man.
Dead end. Boom.
Sometimes
I do that.
That's where I'm still like, yeah, that's why I'm not completely sure of myself to go just do whatever I think I need to do, I guess, because it's not the smartest business decision to just do something like that.
To do something like just hopping in the fryer?
Yeah, or just hop on a train. You know what I mean? Like, I'm definitely, I like being able to work for something that's gonna go somewhere that is bigger than me, even if it doesn't have, I don't know, like...
No, I feel the same way. I feel the same way because of the Stingers comedy thing. We started doing this little comedy production thing, and that's how I feel about that. I want it to be something that even without me, there's great comedy that people are listening to because we laid some groundwork.
I don't want to brand my identity, I guess, if that makes sense.
That's interesting. Can you not brand your identity?
Yeah, just call myself something different if I do something solo, I guess, or whatever, but...
Oh, I see what you mean.
It's like, yeah, being part of probably is just that can mean anything. It means whatever I make it to mean, I guess. And I don't want to do that, with myself.
I see what you're saying.
I'm out there fending for myself on my own. I don't know, you know what I mean? It's just kind of sink or swim. No, middle ground. And, yeah, I feel like I'm perpetually just kind of sinking and swimming, I guess.
I think that's called life.
With that, yeah.
But isn't that the way? You just keep trying and trying and trying. I feel like I've done the same thing in that just keep doing and doing and doing until something sticks, Just keep finding ways to keep doing something new, something exciting, something that makes me happy.
Or acting on my opinions instead of just having them and bottling them up and then getting pissed about it or frustrated, Kind of just having an opinion and being all right, why am I is this effective at all, I guess?
I've been thinking about books, man. I feel like I need to write a book. I don't know. You keep mentioning solo projects, and I relate to that as I need to put all of these opinions and these thoughts that I have out in some sort of tome so that it can be referred to. I don't know if that's appropriate or not, but I guess it's kind of like a person's version of an album. A book. But yeah, who reads a book these days?
Dude, an audiobook, man.
The internet. I'm sitting here playing with this camera while I drive. Sorry.
It's safe, man. We got our seatbelts on.
We're doing 35. It just kept wanting to cut your head off, and I didn't like it.
I'm here.
But I wonder how, the book and all that good stuff. I guess we could just dive right into the philosophy. I don't want to steer you too far away from the music if you don't want to, but the identity thing fascinates me.
I feel like I'm not just a musician.
No,
I don't know that yet. Or I'm not really living the life of not a musician totally, you know, no kids, no significant other. I just live within my means, you know, make enough money to just keep doing it. That's pretty much it.
Travel. You guys get to travel much yet?
Not as much as I wish, but I mean, the Southeast, trying to expand. Yeah, another thing, like, we do it all ourselves, so it's pretty much, if we don't do it, nothing gets done. So
Homegrown.
there's a lot of things that, you know, we are not very competent in. We're average, you know, gotta be booking agent, manager, all at the same time, and be a musician, and have some kind of personal life on the side, obligations.
That's the hard part, man. That was my big thing recently. Just, I'm not gonna give every day of my life. I'm not gonna give a third of my life over to somebody that's not gonna fund the other 2/3. You know?
Yeah.
And having a 40-hour-a-week job, that's where you end up. It's just beholden to somebody else. And that's no fun. But not being able to make a living wage, and that gets back to artists not being paid what they deserve, which I've gotten a taste of that through the comedy. But
yeah, I mean, doing it yourself, yeah, it's hard to, like, grow naturally.
because it takes time.
Yeah, it does take time. So, like, that's what I feel. Yeah, probably it's going to take time, and whatever I learn on my own personal journey, I can help, like, apply that to what I'm already doing with this. But like, there's growth in the band, and I don't feel like there's a whole lot of growth in me. Or maybe that's, like, the same, I don't know, it's all kind of the same timing or whatever. Like, if I'm learning stuff and I'm growing as a person, the band's growing, and if I'm not, then nothing's happening. Or same with, like, doing logistics of booking a gig and making sure that, like, everything's squared away for it, you know, like, yeah, are we getting fed? Are we getting put up somewhere, you know? Like, having to do that's not the fun parts of it, but it has to happen.
When it makes you feel good, like, it makes me feel good knowing, all right, I got that one on the books, or I got all that worked out. Yeah. So there's that little bit of accomplishment that goes into it that I need that. Like, if I don't see some results somewhere,
yeah,
oh, it grates at me.
But sometimes it's like, I don't want to do this, man, you know, or the logistics side of it. I want to just make music, and if I'm doing more logistics and less music, then I kind of go crazy.
Oh, that's understandable.
And that's like a shared struggle, I feel like, among some musicians that I relate with.
Yeah, all the work that goes into making it a career.
Yeah.
I think it's one thing to go and play on the weekends, but when you're trying to make it a career and you do have to do... I don't think a lot of people realize what goes into it. How many hours would you say, if you had to just put a number on it for people that have never been around it, how many hours go into a 4-hour show? You figure hours to get people on the phone and get it booked, hours to travel, and I'm not talking about all the rehearsal time and preparedness to get ready to perform a show.
Yeah, that's different
but
for everybody.
Putting a show together.
I don't know. It depends on the show, the venue, the crowd.
If you've got to put together flyers, if you've got to put together marketing, I mean, it's full-time work.
Yeah,
there are people that make a full-time living out of it.
That's the stuff that, like, you know, I wish I was good at doing, or I wish I would just, like, do it. There's a lot of stuff that, like, I know could be done musically and logistically that could make it all better and make the return a lot better, but it's like,
only one person.
Yeah, I don't really give that much of a fuck. Like, I don't have sympathy for a lot of things. It sucks. So, like, I'm not a good, like, I would not be a good band manager or whatever, you know. I only know what I know from experience of like just a little bit of playing with other bands and hearing other people's insights, and you know,
it's not the fun part.
Yeah,
like you said earlier, it's not the fun part. And
so, yeah, trying to get everyone to be like, yeah, just let's focus on the music and like everything else will figure its own shit out. Like, I'm tired of like worrying about the logistics of it and not making new music and whatever that might mean. Like whatever I'm involved with, I need to be doing something with music. There is a point, but there's not a point in the moment for me, and that's kind of what I need. Like I need a reason in the moment.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I can't like even if I know it's going good and like the logical side of my brain's like, yeah, like, you know, a month down the line everything's gonna be fine. Like I'm still like emotionally like
right here, right now, I'm gonna deal with this shit.
Yeah, like and the shortcomings individually and as a group and like personally, it's like I see all that more prevalent like in those moments, in the moment moments, instead of like down the line. It's just like, man, you can't really think about like how much time have I wasted. It's like how much time am I about to waste, you know?
Yeah, that's like a mind fuck right there, man.
And that's what you think in the moment, you know. Like down the line you're like, oh, this could have been different, but everything happens for a reason, everything leads to this one moment or whatever. Yeah, no, like I learn from the past, but I don't like dwell on it. I'm always constantly thinking like, what is my intuition, subconscious trying to tell me about what's gonna happen? You know?
Yeah, and that's
picking up on vibes and
yeah,
putting that into words and making an impact, like without actually like physically making it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, without having to go and manifest something, being able to say, look, here's a perspective that without this perspective, that the perspective is valuable.
Right.
It's not so much having to make a tchotchke for that perspective, but being able to say, look, here's this valuable thing. I think that's something we have in common, because that's, in my mind, a big picture trait. When you can remove yourself or be in the moment enough to see a bigger picture than the moment that you're in, that's to me that's something that goes back to, you were saying, branding and being yourself. That's who you are. Like when I think about who I am, the person that I am is the person that is in the moment. When the consciousness checks out and I'm on stage and I'm on the microphone and I'm doing my thing and I don't remember it 20 minutes later, like that's me.
Yeah.
So
when I go back and listen to like something that I play on and I enjoy it, I'm like, yeah, that's great. Like I need to learn what I did. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Is it learn or unlearn?
No, it's
how
like,
to get there.
Well, I need to figure out how to just tap into that instantly and be like, I don't know. It's the same. It's the same with listening to yourself and like, man, that was terrible. I need to not do that either. But
been there.
Maybe it's the opposite. Maybe it's maybe it's something that you did that you do need to be doing, or whatever. I don't know.
That's a good way to learn, though, when you go back and listen to it.
Yeah, I always need to do that more, for sure.
I kick myself every time I forget to record something for that exact reason, because it's a missed learning opportunity.
Back to the perspective thing, though. Yeah. I had like a weird shower thought, kind of. What if every human being is like literally the same? It's just their environment and their outside influence is like what crafts their perspective.
So this is nature versus nurture, and you're going hard nurture.
Hard nurture, yeah.
I think I agree. I agree on lots of levels, because context, you cannot define something without the context that it's in. For one, people are no exception.
I guess more of like a collective subconsciousness of like just people in general, like instead of, you know, yeah, maybe this person's different a little bit by nature, but not I guess as far as just how we perceive.
I agree with you. I think
I feel like we're more similar in that than we even know, because we're so within each of our own worlds.
Yeah, and most of that world is just made up future and past, and it's not all there. But I agree. I think there is something to the fact that we are all part of this same system, whatever you want to call it, reality. And because we're all part of that same reality, we're all participating in the same thing, that on a lot of levels, we can't help but all be the same. And then I can push that even further into the consciousness realm, where people are scientists are starting to talk now about how everything is consciousness. Like dark matter is consciousness. That there is this consciousness is the thing that binds everything, which is a really fascinating thought, in that, which supports what you're saying. We are all just a unique perspective of the same consciousness.
Right.
Which I think there's a lot of validity to that.
I don't know, man. It's just, I literally was thinking about that like yesterday.
It's a fun one.
I don't know. It's without getting into like sci-fi shit. Yeah, it's definitely something to think about.
We can get into sci-fi shit. We can definitely get into sci-fi shit. No problem. I didn't ask what time you guys need to be back, but we're headed that direction.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
we should be all right.
I still have like 2 hours before we go on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
I think we start at 10:30.
Good deal.
Kind of need a cigarette. Can I smoke?
Oh yeah, fuck yeah, you can.
Can I smoke on the podcast?
Yes, you can.
I did on the last podcast, so.
Yes, it's perfectly allowed. If I had my pipe, I would join you, but I left it at my house. God damn, we've been at this an hour.
Hey.
Time flies. All the consciousness stuff, though, man, I love all that stuff. And we haven't really gotten into it, so if we're going to keep going, I would love to hear some of your philosophy thoughts, because I think those go hand in hand with identity. You know, we develop these perspectives that become our identity. I think that's kind of how I've built myself and my character.
Yeah.
And it sounds to me like that's what you're talking about being in the middle of.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to separate like what I've been taught versus what I've like learned.
How do you mean?
Because
what you've been
because
taught.
of my perception of whatever I take in. You know, it's like a guy tells like 5 different people like the same thing. They all like perceive it differently and take it in. Like the words mean different things to them. People like put their identity and their like in their personal everything in words, you know. So like when someone says I love you, it's like love just means something completely different for everyone, you know.
Yeah.
Whether it's like bad memories or good memories or whatever, you know. So I don't know. It's hard to think about how I would describe myself without, you know,
without all that context.
Yeah.
We're gonna stop by my house and use the pisser before we head back.
Definitely.
So let me drop this on you and see what you think. And we'll call this the summary, because Truth, Love, and Peace is the ideal version of the philosophy that got me started in doing podcasts and having these conversations and everything, or recording these conversations. But it started when we were talking about context and perspective from understanding motives. And so I started with FNP, which stands for fear, power, and novelty. And that those are the only 3 things that could motivate anybody, because fear is the emotion, context is novelty, and power is control. But in the instance that you're talking about, this relationship of terminology and what we know and what we don't know in how we define terms is the power portion. Like that's the control that we have is in being able to define terms. So I've always been fascinated by how hard it is to overcome the discrepancy between two people's definitions of a term.
Right.
And so that's what led me to this whole motivation theory. Like, well, if I can't figure it out via the terms, how do I get inside people's heads?
Yeah, without like compromising who they are.
Yeah.
Or like making them change, because it doesn't necessarily, like, it's not for the better good, it's for like you to be able to express it to them easier.
Right.
I don't know.
Right. So that's why I default to simplicity.
It's not necessarily like the better thing to do. Try to like explain something to somebody that you understand completely, and they just won't get it because that's not how they were raised.
Or they just don't have the information
Not
to back
like
it up.
that, but just, yeah, literally just who they are as a person.
Isn't going to understand. Yeah, I mean, you can come up with all kinds of extreme examples, but there are, look at race. There's no way you can know what it's like to walk around a different color than you've been all of your life. Like, good luck wrapping your head
Right.
around that, because the entire context of your life would be totally different, every circumstance you've ever been in. And it's really difficult to bridge those gaps. And it's kind of something that's going on political, right? In culturally.
I
right
think,
now.
yeah, I mean, even on like just way smaller levels of personal identity, just people that are from the same place they were born and raised, and like their whole family generations like same place, like versus someone who just like has never settled down for more than a year.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, those little things, those environmental perspective experiences and like enhancers or whatever, like allow people to like see a different way, but it's not like the full picture, it's just a glimpse.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm just glimpsing things because like I'm not supposed to be doing like any of the shit I'm doing. Like,
What are you talking
I was
about?
not meant to like do this, like, or I wasn't like, as far as like people raising kids and being like, my kid's gonna be this, my kid's gonna be that, or like my kid, I don't know, like I'm not the ideal musician.
Nobody
story.
told you were going to be a bass player.
Yeah, it wasn't like, I wasn't like prepared for that. Really, it just kind of happened.
Well,
And that's what I liked about it was that, I was working hard and I was like enjoying myself, but it wasn't just some kind of idea, some kind of conception that someone else created and was like, yeah, this is like a job and like all this stuff, and like,
go be this.
yeah, career day, like there wasn't what I'm doing now like on that table. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it's
same
like
here.
figuring that out for yourself is like a constant thing. I guess if you're like an artist or not doing the typical thing.
Yeah, and I'm thankful to be able to live that life, because I've been in situations, corporate jobs, where that's not an option. Like, this is, you go to work every day, and this is the life that you lead, and these are the things that you believe, and these are the rules that you play by, and some of them bleed into your real life, and a lot of them bleed into your real life, and eventually you just become that, and oh my god, it sucks. So the ability to learn from experiences and continually grow as a person, it's hard to get away with these days.
Yeah, business is kind of like, well, in that context, I mean, you could say the same about just like families, like
Right.
being so just into your family, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Because they're
Taking
very
over
similar.
the family business, like that whole,
Yeah. And you just never see another perspective.
Mm-hmm.
That can very easily happen.
Well, man,
All right, yeah, let's walk in here to my house. Quentin, thank you so much.
Yes,
we have
man.
to do this again. We've
that was
barely
fun.
scratched the surface.
I'll call and put me on speakerphone during Shay's podcast.
That'll be great. So, bye, YouTube.